Part I, Theoretical Foundations of Institutional Performance and Six Sigma Chapter 1, Introduction to Institutional Performance Excellence Chapter Overview. This chapter establishes the fundamental concepts that underpin the entire volume. It moves beyond simplistic financial definitions of success to explore the multifaceted nature of institutional performance. It traces the historical evolution of quality management, demonstrating how Six Sigma represents the current culmination of centuries of progress. Finally, it makes the critical argument that superior quality management is not a separate initiative but a core driver of institutional success and a necessary response to modern organizational complexity. 1. Defining institutional performance. Beyond economic metrics, while profitability and shareholder return are vital metrics for commercial enterprises, institutional performance is a far broader and more complex concept. For an institution to truly excel, it must be evaluated on a balanced scorecard of outcomes that reflect its multifaceted mission and value proposition to all stakeholders. Stakeholder perspectives: customers/clients, quality of product/service, value, satisfaction and trust; employees, engagement, satisfaction, safety, development and retention; leadership and owners, financial health, market share, growth and strategic positioning; society and community, ethical conduct, environmental stewardship and social responsibility; regulators, compliance, transparency, and adherence to standards. The balanced scorecard framework. Performance is thus a synthesis of financial performance, e.g., ROI, cost efficiency, revenue growth; customer/stakeholder performance, e.g., satisfaction scores, retention rates; internal process performance, e.g., cycle time, error rates, innovation speed, learning and growth performance, e.g., employee skills, organizational culture, knowledge management. A high-performing institution excels across all these dimensions. Recognizing that they are interdependent, improving internal processes, a focus of Six Sigma, directly enhances customer satisfaction and financial results. 2. The evolution of quality management. From craftsmanship to Six Sigma, the pursuit of quality is not new. The section outlines the historical journey that has led to the disciplined approach of Six Sigma. The age of craftsmanship. Pre-19th century, quality was the responsibility of a single artisan or small guild, built into the product through skill and pride. The Industrial Revolution and early 20th century, the shift to mass production separated the worker from the final product. Frederick W. Taylor's scientific management introduced efficiency experts but created a divide between planning, managers, and execution, workers, often at the expense of quality. Statistical process control. 1930s to 1940s, Walter Shewhart at Bell Laboratories introduced control charts and the concept of distinguishing between common cause and special cause variation. W. Edwards Deming and Joseph M. Uran later championed these ideas, though initially in the United States. Post-World War II quality revolution in Japan. Deming and Uran found a receptive audience in Japan. They taught that quality was management's responsibility and could be achieved through systematic application of statistical methods and a focus on continuous improvement, Kaizen. This led to the rise of total quality management, TQM, the rise of Six Sigma, 1980s present. Developed at Motorola in the 1980s and famously adopted by General Electric under Jack Welch, Six Sigma emerged as a more disciplined, project-focused, and statistically rigorous evolution of TQM. It combined rigorous methodology, thematic, with a specific organizational structure, champions, black belts, green belts, to reduce variation and defects to a minuscule level. 34 defects per million opportunities. 3. The critical link between quality management and institutional success. This section argues that implementing a robust quality management system like Six Sigma is not a cost center but a strategic driver of institutional success. Cost reduction. Poor quality is expensive. The cost of poor quality, COPQ, includes scrap, rework, warranty claims, and wasted time. Six Sigma systematically attacks these costs, directly improving the bottom line. Enhanced reputation and brand equity. Consistently high-quality products and services build trust and loyalty, creating a sustainable competitive advantage. Increased operational efficiency. By streamlining processes, eliminating non-value-added steps, and reducing variation, institutions can do more with less, improving speed, throughput, and resource allocation. Improved risk management. A disciplined, data-driven approach reduces operational errors and compliance failures, mitigating significant institutional risks. Higher employee engagement. Employees derive pride and satisfaction from working in efficient, effective processes. Involving them in improvement projects empowers them and taps into their valuable frontline knowledge for modern performance challenges in complex organizations. Today's institutions operate in a VUCA environment, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This creates unique challenges that Six Sigma is uniquely equipped to address. Globalization and hyper-competition. Pressure to innovate faster and operate more efficiently than global competitors is intense, increasing customer expectations. Customers demand higher quality, more customization, faster delivery, and lower costs simultaneously. Organizational complexity. Institutions are often large, geographically dispersed, and comprised of siloed departments with conflicting goals, making coordinated improvement difficult. Data overload. Institutions have access to more data than ever before but often lack the methodology to turn that data into actionable insight. Rapid technological change, keeping pace with digital transformation, requires processes that are both efficient and adaptable. Six Sigma provides the structured framework, analytical tools, and disciplined mindset to navigate this complexity, making data-driven decisions that lead to tangible, sustainable performance improvements. Table. The evolution of quality management. Thought era. Primary focus. Key thinkers' contribution to modern Six Sigma craftsmanship. Individual skill and pride. Artisans and guilds. Concept of quality as an intrinsic value. Scientific management. Standardization and efficiency. Frederick W. Taylor. Focus on process analysis and measurement. Statistical control. Reducing variation. Walter Shewhart. Foundation of statistical thinking, control charts. Total quality, TQM, organization-wide quality. Deming, Uran, Ishikawa. Customer focus, continuous improvement, cross-functional teams. Six Sigma. Sustained results via rigorous methodology. Motorola, G. thematic framework, belt system, financial validation, and relentless focus on reducing variation. Chapter 2, Six Sigma Fundamentals, Principles and Core Concepts. Chapter Overview. This chapter delves into the core of what Six Sigma is, tracing its origin story and global ascent. It introduces the fundamental thematic methodology that forms the backbone of most improvement projects, explaining each phase's purpose. It then breaks down the powerful statistical thinking behind the name Six Sigma, demystifying concepts of variation and sigma levels. Finally, it reinforces the paramount principle that all improvement must be driven by the voice of the customer through critical to quality characteristics. 1. Historical development of Six Sigma. From Motorola to global adoption. Six Sigma did not emerge in a vacuum, it was a strategic response to a competitive crisis. Origins at Motorola, 1980s. In the early 1980s, Motorola was losing market share to Japanese competitors who were producing higher quality products at lower cost. An engineer at Motorola, Bill Smith, is credited with formally conceiving the statistical basis for Six Sigma, proving that products that failed during testing were also more likely to fail in the hands of the customer. The goal was to reduce variation in all manufacturing and business processes to an infinitesimal level. The term Six Sigma is derived from the Greek letter sigma, used in statistics to represent standard deviation, a measure of variation. A process operating at Six Sigma has so little variation that the process limits are 6 standard deviations from the mean, leaving minimal room for defects. Adoption by General Electric, 1990s. Under the leadership of CEO Jack Welch in the mid-1990s, Six Sigma was transformed from a manufacturing-focused quality program into a comprehensive management philosophy applicable to every business process, from finance to customer service. Welch's relentless focus on tying Six Sigma projects to bottom-line financial results and making it a condition for promotion catapulted the methodology to global fame. Global proliferation. Following GE's massive publicly reported savings, billions of dollars, Six Sigma was rapidly adopted across industries worldwide, including healthcare, finance, and education. It became the gold standard for data-driven performance improvement. 2. thematic framework. Define, measure, analyze, improve, controlled maic, pronounced domaic, is the structured 5-phase problem-solving methodology central to Six Sigma. It provides a rigorous roadmap for improving existing processes. Define. The project is scoped and aligned with institutional goals. Key activities include identifying the problem, defining the customer, S, documenting the process, SIPOC, and developing a project charter with clear goals. Measure. The current state of the process is quantified. Data is collected to establish a baseline performance metric. The focus is on validating the measurement system to ensure data accuracy. Analyze. Root causes of the problem are identified and verified using data. The team moves beyond symptoms to uncover the fundamental sources of process variation and defects using statistical tools. Improve. Solutions are generated, tested, and implemented to address the verified root causes. The team uses creativity and pilot studies to confirm that the proposed changes will eliminate the problem and achieve the project goals. Control. The improved process is institutionalized to ensure sustained gains. Control plans, monitoring systems, like control charts, and standardized documentation are put in place to hold the gains and prevent backsliding to the old way of working. 3. The statistical foundation of Six Sigma. Understanding variation and sigma levels. At its heart, Six Sigma is a statistics-driven methodology for reducing variation. Understanding variation. All processes exhibit variation. Walter Schuhart distinguished between two types: common cause variation, inherent, natural variation within a process. It is predictable within statistical limits and can only be reduced by changing the process itself. Special cause variation, unusual, non-random variation caused by specific, identifiable events. This is the noise that should be investigated and eliminated. The sigma scale. Process capability is measured on a sigma scale, which indicates how often defects are likely to occur. A higher sigma level means a more capable process with fewer defects. The sigma goal, 34 dpmo. A process operating at 6 sigma quality produces a mere 34 defects per million opportunities, dpmo. This near perfection is achieved by designing processes so robust that the mean is at least 6 standard deviations away from the nearest specification limit, minimizing the chance of a defect even when the process mean shifts slightly over timetable. Understanding sigma levels and performance. Sigma level defects per million opportunities, dpmo. Percentage yield. Example / analogy -- 1 sigma 691,462 3085%. Almost pure chance. 2 sigma 308,538 6,915%. 3 sigma 66,807 9,332%. Average companies. 4 sigma 6,210 9,938%. 5 sigma 233 99,977%. Excellent performers. 6 sigma 34 9999966%. World-class performance. 4 customer-focused quality, critical to quality, CTQ, characteristics. A core principle that distinguishes Six Sigma is its unwavering focus on the customer. Improving a metric that the customer doesn't care about is wasted effort. Voice of the customer, VOC. This is the process of capturing customers' needs, expectations, and preferences through surveys, interviews, complaints, and other feedback mechanisms. Critical to quality, CTQ, characteristics. These are the measurable, performance-based parameters that translate the often vague VOC into specific, actionable requirements. They are the what that must be delivered to achieve customer satisfaction. The translation process. A customer might say, "I need fast service," VOC. The team, through analysis, translates this into a CTQ, process loan application. This CTQ is then given a measurable specification, cycle time less than or equal to 48 hours. This measurable requirement becomes the benchmark for the improvement project. In essence, Six Sigma ensures that all improvement efforts are strategically aligned, via business goals in the define phase, and tactically focused, via customer needs through CTQs, on what truly matters. For Institutional Performance. Chapter 3, Institutional Theory and Performance Improvement. Chapter Overview. This chapter moves beyond the technical mechanics of Six Sigma to explore the social and cultural fabric of organizations. It introduces institutional theory, a sociological perspective that explains why organizations often behave in ways that seem irrational from a purely efficiency-focused viewpoint. Understanding these forces is critical for any leader or change agent attempting to implement a rigorous performance improvement system like Six Sigma, as it provides the key to navigating unspoken rules, cultural norms, and the powerful need for legitimacy. 1. Understanding organizations as social systems. The institutional theory perspective. Traditional management theory often views organizations as rational, goal-oriented machines designed for maximum efficiency. Institutional theory offers a different, complementary lens. It sees organizations primarily as social systems embedded within a larger environment of norms, beliefs, and expectations beyond formal structure. An institution is not just its org chart, processes, and financial statements. It is also a collection of shared beliefs, unwritten rules, and taken for granted assumptions that powerfully guide behavior. The role of myth and ceremony. Institutional theorists like Paul J. DiMaggio and Walter W. Powell argue that organizations often adopt practices, structures, or technologies not because they are technically superior, but because they are socially accepted as the right way to do things. These practices become rationalized myths. They signal that the organization is modern, legitimate, and professional. Implication for Six Sigma. A Six Sigma initiative cannot be successful by proving its technical merits alone. It must also be understood and managed as a social intervention that will interact with, challenge, and be challenged by the existing institutional fabric. 2. The infusion of value. How practices gain significance beyond functional utility within institutions. Tools and processes are never just tools and processes. They become infused with value and meaning that far exceeds their practical function. From how to why. A simple software program is not just a means to an end. The how, over time, it becomes linked to identity, status, and history. The why, for example, a particular reporting format may be terribly inefficient, but it might have been designed by a revered former leader. Changing it isn't just a process improvement, it's seen as disrespecting a legacy. Sacred cows. Many organizational practices become sacred cows, immune to criticism or change because of their symbolic value, not their effectiveness. They represent stability, tradition, and identity. Implication for Six Sigma. A black belt analyzing a process may correctly identify a sacred cow as the root cause of a defect. However, recommending its elimination based on data alone will likely trigger strong resistance. The practitioner must first understand and acknowledge the symbolic value the practice holds before proposing a change that preserves the underlying value, e.g., honoring the former leader's intent through a more efficient modern tribute. 3. Legitimacy and conformity. Social pressures driving organizational behavior. Institutions have a powerful survival instinct that goes beyond profitability, the need for legitimacy. The perception by stakeholders that the organization's actions are desirable, proper, and appropriate within its environment. Isomorphic pressures. DiMaggio and Powell described 3 mechanisms that force organizations to become similar, isomorphic, to others in their field, often sacrificing innovation for legitimacy. 1. Coercive isomorphism. Pressures from powerful entities, e.g., government regulations, cultural expectations. 2. Mimetic isomorphism. The tendency to mimic successful or prestigious competitors, especially in times of uncertainty. If everyone else is adopting Lean Six Sigma, we should too. 3. Normative isomorphism. Pressure from professionalization. Shared norms and standards spread through education, certifications, and industry networks, e.g., the proliferation of MBA graduates with similar mindsets. Implication for Six Sigma. An institution may adopt Six Sigma not for a genuine desire to improve, but due to mimetic isomorphism, a competitor did it, or normative isomorphism, it's what best-in-class companies are expected to do. This can lead to Six Sigma theater, the ceremonial implementation of belts, charts, and jargon without a real commitment to the underlying philosophy of data-driven change. The project selection focuses on high visibility, legitimacy giving projects rather than those with the highest potential for real improvement. For reconciling economic efficiency with social expectations. A Six Sigma challenge. This is the central challenge presented in this chapter, the logic of Six Sigma, economic efficiency. Data-driven optimization often collides with the logic of institutions, legitimacy, tradition, symbolic value. The clash. A Six Sigma team might use a flawless thematic approach to prove that consolidating two departments will save $2 million annually. However, if one of those departments is headed by a founding partner's descendant, the rational economic decision may be socially and politically impossible. Strategies for reconciliation. Successful Six Sigma leaders in institutions must be bilingual, speaking the language of both data and culture. Framing, presenting Six Sigma not as a cold, cost-cutting measure, but as a way to better fulfill our mission, enhance our reputation for excellence, or empower our employees. Pilot projects, using early wins in non-sensitive areas to build legitimacy for the methodology itself, creating social proof that it works. Co-optation, engaging influential cultural guardians early in the process, making them champions rather than adversaries of change. Dual bottom line, evaluating projects not just on ROI but also on their ability to enhance institutional legitimacy, strengthen culture, and reduce risk. Table, the two logics of organizational change dimension. The Six Sigma, efficiency, logic. The institutional, social, logic challenge for practitioners. Primary goal: optimize output, minimize cost, reduce variation, gain legitimacy, ensure stability, maintain social cohesion. To achieve efficiency gains in a way that strengthens rather than undermines legitimacy. Basis of authority: data, facts, statistical proof. Tradition, hierarchy, seniority, symbolic value. To use data to persuade, not to bludgeon, to respect traditional authority while demonstrating new solutions. View of change: a necessary and positive force for improvement, a potential threat to stability, identity, and the established order. To frame change as an evolution that honors the past while building for the future. Measure of success: metrics, costs saved, cycle time reduced, defects eliminated. Perception: are we seen as a legitimate, respectable, and stable institution? To design projects that deliver measurable results and enhance the institution's reputation. In conclusion, this chapter argues that technical mastery of Six Sigma is necessary but insufficient. Lasting improvement requires institutional intelligence, the ability to understand, navigate, and reshape the social forces that ultimately determine the success or failure of any change initiative. Chapter 4, the psychology of change in institutional settings. Chapter overview. This chapter addresses the critical human element of process improvement, while Six Sigma provides the technical roadmap. thematic, success ultimately depends on people changing their minds and their behaviors. This chapter explores the cognitive and emotional barriers that impede change, outlines strategies for building genuine readiness, provides a model for turning new practices into sustainable habits, and discusses how to embed learning into the very fabric of the institution to prevent backsliding. 1. Cognitive barriers to process improvement. The human brain is wired for efficiency, often relying on mental shortcuts, heuristics, and entrenched patterns of thinking. These cognitive biases create significant headwinds for improvement initiatives. Status quo bias, a powerful preference for the current state of affairs. The known present, even if suboptimal, feels safer and more comfortable than the unknown future. People overvalue what they have and overweight potential losses compared to equivalent gains. Loss aversion, confirmation bias, the tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs. Employees and leaders may dismiss data from the measure and analyze phases if it contradicts their long-held assumptions about how the process works. The curse of knowledge, when experts, like black belts or process designers, find it difficult to think about problems from the perspective of less knowledgeable users, they may overlook critical training needs or design solutions that are intuitive to them but confusing for frontline staff. Cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, e.g., I am a good employee and the process I manage is full of errors. To reduce this discomfort, people often reject the new information rather than change their self-perception. Fundamental attribution error, the tendency to blame people for problems. This error happened because Sarah is careless, rather than attributing the cause to the system or process. This error happened because the form is confusing and the deadline was unrealistic. This directly contradicts Six Sigma's core principle that the system is responsible for the vast majority of problems. To creating readiness for organizational change. Change cannot be dictated, it must be prepared for. Readiness is the cognitive and emotional priming of individuals and groups to accept, embrace, and adopt a change, establishing a sense of urgency. Based on John Cotter's change model, people must first understand why change is necessary. This is not about fear-mongering but about sharing compelling data from the define and measure phases, customer complaint trends, performance benchmarks against competitors, or the stark financial cost of the current state, COPQ, engaging influential champions. Change is social, identifying and enrolling respected formal and informal leaders to advocate for the initiative provides social proof and reduces anxiety. These champions should come from the area being changed, not just the leadership team articulating a clear, visionary future state. People need to see a positive and clear picture of what the future will look like after the change. How will their work be easier, more fulfilling, or more efficient? This vision must be communicated consistently and repeatedly, enabling participation, involving potential end users in the analyze and improve phases through workshops or as project team members. Fosters a sense of ownership. People are far less likely to resist a change they help to create. 3. Sustaining improvement. The habit formation model. Improvements often fail after the project team disbands because new processes haven't become automatic habits. Applying models like James Clear's Atomic Habits framework can institutionalize new behaviors, make it obvious, design the environment to cue the new behavior. This includes clear visual standards, fives, updated and accessible procedures, and integrated prompts within digital workflows. Make it attractive, link the new behavior to immediate rewards and positive reinforcement. This could be through recognition, positive feedback from a supervisor, or simply the intrinsic reward of a smoother, less frustrating work process. Make it easy. Reduce the friction associated with the new behavior. Simplify new forms, automate data entry, and provide quick reference guides. The easier the new way is, the more likely it is to be adopted. Make it satisfying, ensure there is an immediate, positive outcome. If the new process saves time, that time should be made visible and given back to the employee. If it reduces errors, celebrate the resulting drop in customer complaints. Immediate reinforcement is crucial for institutional memory and knowledge retention strategies. An institution's knowledge is its most valuable asset, but it is often stored tacitly in the minds of its employees. Turnover and project conclusions create immense risk of knowledge loss and process regression. Standardization and documentation, the primary output of the control phase. This goes beyond a single document to create a process ecosystem. Standard operating procedures, SOPs. Clear, visual, and easy to follow process control plans, documents that specify how the process will be monitored and what to do if it goes out of control. Key learning repositories, a central, searchable database of completed project charters, findings, and lessons learned. Succession and cross-training, deliberately ensuring that critical process knowledge is held by multiple people. This builds resilience and prevents any single employee from becoming a single point of failure. The role of leadership review. Institutional memory is actively maintained through regular leadership reviews, e.g., in monthly operational meetings, of process performance metrics and control charts. This ritual reinforces the importance of the new standard and ensures vigilance. Onboarding and training integration, baking the new, improved standards into the mandatory training for all new hires. This ensures that the one best way becomes the default way the institution operates, gradually shifting the culture itself. Table, the psychological journey of change and the Six Sigma response. Psychological stage. Common barriers and reactions. Six Sigma mitigation strategy awareness. Denial, confusion, skepticism. Why is this necessary? Define phase, create a burning platform with a clear business case and VOC data. Communicate the vision relentlessly. Buy-in. Fear of loss, uncertainty, perceived threat to competence. Analyze/improve phases, involve users in root cause analysis and solution design. Provide ample opportunity for input and address concerns with data. Adoption anxiety, clumsiness with new process, nostalgia for the old way. Improve phase, pilot the solution. Provide robust training, coaching, and quick Reference tools celebrate early adopters' habit formation, mental fatigue, tendency to revert to old, automatic behaviors, control phase, implement visual management, error proofing, pokayoke, and regular audit/feedback loops make the new way easier. Institutionalization, knowledge loss, turnover, slow erosion of standards, control phase and beyond, integrate into training, leadership review, and performance metrics, create a system that survives individual people. In conclusion, this chapter argues that the technical side of Six Sigma is only half the battle. Mastering the psychology of change, understanding how people think, feel, and adapt is what separates a short-term project from a truly transformative and sustainable improvement in institutional performance. Part 2, Methodology and Tools for Institutional Improvement. Chapter 5, Define Phase, Strategic Alignment and Project Selection. Chapter Overview. The define phase is the critical launch point of any Six Sigma project. A well-defined project, aligned with strategic goals and supported by key stakeholders, has a high chance of success. A poorly defined one is doomed from the start, regardless of the technical rigor that follows. This chapter details the process of selecting the right projects and setting them up correctly by deeply understanding customer needs, managing the human and political landscape, creating a clear project contract, and proactively planning for the change ahead. One voice of the customer, capturing institutional requirements. The voice of the customer, VOC, is the foundation of any customer-centric improvement initiative for institutions. Customers can be internal, other departments, or external, students, patients, citizens, clients. The goal is to translate often vague feedback into specific, measurable requirements. VOC collection methods, direct methods, surveys, interviews, focus groups, complaint logs, and direct observation. Indirect methods, analysis of operational data, e.g., process cycle times, error rates, online reviews, and social media sentiment. From VOC to CTQ, the translation process. The raw VOC, I need faster service, must be converted into a critical to quality, CTQ, characteristic with a measurable specification. 1 customer need, I need my application processed quickly. 2 CTQ characteristic, application processing time. 3 measurable specification, 95% of applications processed within 5 business days. The Kano model, a powerful tool for understanding different types of customer needs. Basic needs must be quality. Expected requirements, their absence causes extreme dissatisfaction, but their presence is taken for granted, e.g., accuracy in a financial report. Performance needs, one-dimensional quality. Stated requirements where more is better, e.g., faster service, lower cost. Excitement needs, delighters, unspoken needs that, when met, create disproportionate satisfaction and differentiate the institution, e.g., proactive status updates. 2 stakeholder analysis and engagement strategies. A stakeholder is any person or group affected by the process or the improvement project. Ignoring stakeholders is a primary reason projects fail. Stakeholder identification and analysis, a formal process to map all stakeholders' power/interest grid, the most common tool for categorizing stakeholders based on their power to influence the project and their level of interest in its outcome. This determines the engagement strategy for each group. High power/high interest, manage closely key players and sponsors. Engage deeply and frequently. High power/low interest, keep satisfied senior leaders not directly involved. Keep informed and ensure no objections. Low power/high interest, keep informed subject matter experts and end users. Consult with them and show their input matters. Low power/low interest, monitor minimal effort required engagement strategies. For each stakeholder group, develop a specific communication plan that answers, what do they need to know? When do they need to know it? What is the best channel to reach them? What do we need from them? 3. Project Charter Development, linking Six Sigma to institutional goals. The project charter is the single most important document in the define phase. It is a formal contract between the project team and leadership that authorizes the project and defines its scope. Key elements of a robust project charter: business case, why are we doing this? Links the project to a strategic objective, financial goal, or critical customer requirement. Problem statement, a clear, concise, and data-driven description of the current problem and its impact. Avoid stating a solution. Goal statement, a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART, objective for the project, e.g., reduce the application processing cycle time from 10 days to 5 days within 6 months. Project scope, clearly defines the process boundaries, where it starts and stops, what is in scope and out of scope. Preventing scope creep is vital. Milestone timeline, high-level schedule for thematic phases. Team roles, identifies the project sponsor, champion, black belt, team members, and process owner. Expected benefits, quantifies the projected financial, hard savings, and non-financial, soft benefits like improved satisfaction, returns for change management. Planning, preparing the organization for transformation. The charter is the technical plan. Change management is the people plan. It begins in the define phase, not after the solution is designed. Assessing change impact, for the identified stakeholders, what will change. This includes process changes, new steps, eliminated steps, new technology. Job role changes, new skills required, new responsibilities, eliminated tasks. Cultural changes, shifts in power, status, or long-standing routines. Developing a resistance management plan. Resistance is a natural reaction to change. The plan should anticipate sources of resistance, often from those in the high power/high interest grid who may be negatively impacted. Identify the root causes of resistance: fear, lack of trust, misunderstanding. Develop specific actions to mitigate it: communication, training, involvement, negotiation, communication. Planning, a proactive plan to build awareness and desire for the change. Answers, what message, to whom, when, and through what channel. Preliminary training plan, identifies the skills and knowledge gaps that will need to be addressed during the improve and control phases to ensure a smooth transition. Table, stakeholder analysis using the power/interest grid: low interest, high interest, high power. Keep satisfied. BR/who, senior leadership not directly involved. BR/strategy, send high-level updates, ensure they see benefits and hear no negative news. Manage closely. BR/who, project sponsor, key department heads. BR/strategy, engage deeply. Regular meetings, seek input, make them champions. Low power monitor. BR/who, peripheral departments. BR/strategy, minimum effort include in general communications. Keep informed. BR/who, frontline staff, subject matter experts. BR/strategy, consult regularly. Their buy-in is crucial for implementation. Use them for feedback. Table, key components of a Six Sigma project charter. Component description. Example. Business case. The strategic rationale for the project. Long grant application cycle times are causing us to miss funding opportunities and damaging our reputation with researchers. Problem statement. A factual, data-rich description of the issue. The current average cycle time for grant application review is 45 days. 30% of applications exceed 60 days, and our top 3 competitors average 30 days. Goal statement. A SMART objective for the project: reduce the average grant application review cycle time from 45 to 30 days within 9 months. Project scope. The boundaries of the process and project start, application received, end, notification letter sent. In scope, review by science committee. Out of scope, budget revision process. Key milestones. High-level timeline for thematic phases. Define, 2 weeks, measure, 3 weeks, analyze, 4 weeks, improve, 4 weeks, control, 3 weeks. In conclusion, the define phase is about doing the necessary upfront work to ensure a Six Sigma project is worth doing, aligned to strategy and customer needs, and can be done with the right scope, team, and stakeholder support. It sets the trajectory for the entire thematic cycle. Chapter 6, Measure Phase, Institutional Performance Assessment. Chapter Overview. The measure phase bridges the gap between identifying a problem and understanding it quantitatively. Its purpose is to objectively quantify the current state of the process, establish a reliable baseline for future comparison, and begin to pinpoint where the problems occur. For institutions, this phase is often challenging due to complex, cross-functional processes and data that may be siloed or subjective. This chapter covers the tools and strategies to overcome these challenges and gather data that is both accurate and meaningful. 1. Process mapping for complex institutions, value stream and SIPOC analysis. Before collecting data, one must understand the process landscape for complex institutional processes involving multiple departments. High-level maps are essential for creating a shared understanding. SIPOC analysis, a macro view, SIPOC, suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, customers, is a foundational tool that provides a high-level, cross-functional view of a process in 5 to 7 steps. It is crucial for defining scope and identifying all involved parties at the outset. Suppliers, who provides the inputs to the process, e.g., applicants, other departments, inputs, what is provided, e.g., application form, supporting documents, process, what are the 4 to 6 high-level steps, e.g., receive, log, review, decide, notify, outputs, what is the final product or service, e.g., approved/rejected notification, customers, who receives the output, e.g., applicant, regulatory body, value stream mapping, VSM identifying waste, while SIPOC shows who and what, VSM shows where the time and waste are. A value stream map details every step in the process, distinguishing between value added, VA, time where a transformation the customer is willing to pay for occurs, non-value added, NVA, time, waste, e.g., waiting, rework, unnecessary movement, non-value added but necessary, NVAN, time, required steps that don't directly add value, e.g., compliance approvals. For institutions, VSM often reveals that information or requests spend over 90% of their time waiting in queues or being reworked, highlighting massive opportunities for improvement. 2. Data collection strategies for institutional settings. A robust data collection plan ensures the team gathers the right data, in the right amount, with minimal bias. Developing a data collection plan, this plan defines purpose. Why are we collecting this data? To measure the baseline X, operational definitions, a precise, unambiguous definition of what is being measured, e.g., cycle time is defined as the time from when a complete application is received to when a decision email is sent. Data type, is it continuous/variable? Measurement, e.g., time, cost, or discrete/attribute? Count, e.g., number of errors, yes/no? Source, where will the data come from? System log, manual tally sheet, database report, sampling strategy, how will we collect a representative sample? E.g., random sampling over a 4-week period to account for weekly variations. Common institutional data sources, historical databases, system transaction logs, timesheets, complaint records, survey results, and direct observation. 3. Measurement systems analysis, MSA, for institutional data. Of fundamental Six Sigma principle, you cannot improve what you cannot measure accurately. MSA assesses the reliability of the measurement system itself before trusting the data it produces. This is often overlooked for soft institutional data but is critically important. Why MSA matters: if the measurement system has too much variation, any signal from the process will be lost in the noise of measurement error. You might be trying to improve a process based on a faulty ruler gauge. R&R for continuous data, a statistical study that breaks down measurement variation into repeatability, variation when one person measures the same item multiple times, is the measurer consistent? Reproducibility, variation when different people measure the same item, do we all judge things the same way? Attribute agreement analysis for discrete data, used for subjective judgments common in institutions, e.g., is this application complete? Does this report meet quality standards? It assesses, within appraiser agreement, how consistent one person is with their own judgments over time. Between appraiser agreement, how well different people agree with each other. Effectiveness, how often all appraisers agree with a known standard. Example, if a team is measuring application quality on a scale of 1 to 5, an MSA might reveal that reviewers are inconsistent, making the data useless. The solution is to first create a clear, calibrated scoring rubric, the improved measurement system, before collecting more data for establishing baseline performance metrics that matter. With a reliable measurement system in place, the team can now establish a quantifiable baseline, the definitive starting point against which all improvement will be measured. Key process metrics. YS The baseline focuses on the key output metrics linked to the project goal. Common baselines include process capability, sigma level, how well the process meets customer requirements, e.g., the process is currently operating at a 22 sigma level, defects per million opportunities, DPMO the raw defect rate. Cycle time, the total time from start to completion, e.g., average cycle time is 45 days, first pass yield, FPY the percentage of units that complete the process without any rework. Cost of poor quality, COPQ the financial cost of errors, rework, and failures. Presenting the baseline should be presented graphically using time series plots, run charts, or frequency histograms to show not just the average performance, but also the variation around that average. This sets the stage for the analyze phase, where the causes of that variation will be investigated. Table, SIPOC example for a university admissions process. Supplier input process, high level, output customer prospective student online application 1 receive and log application admit/reject decision applicant high school transcripts 2 verify completeness enrollment package academic departments testing agency test scores 3 academic review registrar's office 4 committee decision 5 notify applicant table data collection plan example metric y operational definition data type data source sampling method cycle time from application submitted timestamp to decision letter sent timestamp in the system continuous student information system DB stratified random sample pull 100 records from each of the last 3 semesters incomplete application rate an application missing any item from the required checklist at the time of review discrete reviewer checklist in CMS 100% of applications from the last 60 days reviewer agreement rate % of applications where 2 independent reviewers give the same admit/deny score discrete quality audit records randomly select 5% of applications for dual blind review each week. In conclusion, the measure phase transforms a vaguely understood problem into a precisely quantified one. It ensures that the institution is not operating on anecdotes or assumptions but on a bedrock of reliable data, setting the stage for an effective and objective root cause analysis. In the next phase, Chapter 7, Analyze Phase, Root Cause Analysis in Institutional Environments. Chapter Overview. The analyze phase is the diagnostic heart of the DMAIC cycle. The team moves beyond symptoms to uncover the fundamental, root causes of the problem quantified in the measure phase. In institutions, root causes are often deeply embedded in policy, culture, or cross-functional handoffs, making this phase particularly challenging. This chapter covers the statistical and analytical tools used to separate opinion from fact, test hypotheses, and pinpoint the underlying factors that must be addressed to achieve genuine, sustainable improvement. 1. Identifying special versus common causes of institutional variation. This is the critical first step in analysis. The type of variation dictates the appropriate response. Mistaking one for the other leads to wasted effort and increased frustration. Common cause variation, inherent, natural variation that is always present in a process. It is predictable within statistical control limits and is a property of the process itself. Institutional example, the natural fluctuation in the time it takes different experienced advisors to counsel a student. Due to the unique needs of each case response, this variation can only be reduced by changing the process itself, e.g., providing better tools, simplifying guidelines, redesigning the workflow. Reacting to common cause variation as if it were a special cause is called tampering and makes performance worse. Special cause variation, unusual, non-random variation caused by specific, identifiable events. It is signaled by a point outside the control limits or a non-random pattern on a control chart. Institutional example, a sudden spike in processing errors because a key team member is out sick and no one is cross-trained, or a system-wide outage response, This variation must be investigated and eliminated by addressing the specific cause. The process itself may be sound. The primary tool for distinguishing between the two is the control chart, which establishes statistical limits for expected behavior and highlights outliers and patterns that signal special causes to hypothesis. Testing in organizational contexts. Institutions are rife with opinions and tribal knowledge about what causes problems. Hypothesis testing uses statistics to move from "we think" or "it seems like" to "we know." The process: 1. Formulate hypotheses. Based on process knowledge and initial analysis, the team makes an educated guess, a hypothesis, about a cause. Null hypothesis, h. The assumption that there is no effect, no difference, or no relationship, e.g., the error rate for Team A is the same as for Team B. Alternative hypothesis, h. The claim the test is trying to prove, e.g., the error rate for Team A is different from Team B. 2. Test with data. Use a statistical test to calculate a p-value, which represents the probability of seeing the observed data if the null hypothesis were true. 3. Draw a conclusion. If the p-value is very low, typically below 0.005, the observed data is unlikely under H, so we reject the null hypothesis and accept that there is a statistically significant difference or relationship. Common tests for institutional data. 2. Proportion test, compares the defect/error rates between two groups, e.g., are errors more frequent on day shifts vs night shifts? 2. Sample t-test, compares the means of a continuous measure between two groups, e.g., is the average processing time different for remote workers vs in-office workers? Chi-square test, tests for a relationship between two categorical variables, e.g., is the type of application error independent of the department that processed it? Correlation and regression, analyzes the strength and nature of a relationship between variables, e.g., as the number of applications received per day increases, does the cycle time also increase? 3. Root cause analysis tools. 5 whys, fishbone diagram, 6 milliseconds, Pareto analysis. These are the foundational, often non-statistical, tools for drilling down to root causes. The 5 whys, a simple but powerful iterative technique to peel back the layers of a problem by repeatedly asking why. 5 is a rule of thumb, not a strict rule. You move from the symptom to the root cause. Symptom: the grant submission was late. Why? The final review took too long. Why? The director had to send it back for revisions. Why? The budget numbers were inconsistent. Why? The finance department provided an updated template that the grant writer didn't use. Why? Root cause: there is no formal communication process for notifying all teams of template updates. Fishbone diagram, Ishikawa or cause and effect diagram, a structured brainstorming tool used to visually explore and categorize all potential causes of a problem. The standard categories, the 6 milliseconds, are adapted for institutional settings: method, process, policy, procedure, e.g., outdated guidelines, confusing forms, machine, technology, equipment, software, e.g., slow system, frequent crashes, material, information, inputs, forms, e.g., incomplete applications, poor quality data, people/mind-power, skills, knowledge, training, engagement, e.g., lack of training, high turnover, measurement, metrics, data collection, e.g., unclear definitions, inaccurate data, environment/mother nature, organizational culture, physical environment, leadership, e.g., firefighting culture, distracting workspace. Pareto analysis, the 80/20 rule, a technique to identify the vital few causes from the trivial many. It is a bar chart that arranges categories of causes or defects in descending order of frequency, often showing that 80% of the problems come from 20% of the causes. This helps the team prioritize which root causes to address first. 4. Process capability analysis, assessing institutional performance gaps. This statistical tool quantifies how well the current process can meet customer requirements, the CTQs defined in the define phase. It answers the question, is our process even capable of delivering what the customer needs? Key metrics, specification limits, defined by the customer, e.g., CTQ, Process application within 5 days, process spread, the natural variation of the process, mean plus or minus 3 standard deviations, capability indices, CP, measures the potential capability of a process. If it were perfectly centered, it compares the width of the specifications to the width of the process variation. CPK, measures the actual capability, accounting for whether the process is centered between the specifications. CPK is the primary metric interpreting CPK. CPK 10, the process is not capable. A significant portion of output will not meet specifications. CPK equals 10, the process is just capable. The process spread is exactly equal to the specification width, meaning any shift will result in defects. CPK 133, a common benchmark for a capable process. It provides a buffer, a sigma shift, against unexpected variation. Institutional application, a process capability analysis might reveal that while the average application processing time is 45 days, within the 5-day goal, the high variation, CPK equals 0.7, means that over 20% of applications are still late. This proves the problem is chronic and systemic, common cause, requiring a process redesign, not just a quick fix table. Ishikawa's 6 milliseconds adapted for institutional analysis. Category description, institutional examples of root causes method. The rules, policies, and procedures governing the work. Outdated policy mandates. 5. Signatures. No standard operating procedure, SOP. Inefficient approval workflow machine. The technology and tools used to perform the work. Software system is slow and prone to crashing. Legacy systems that don't integrate. Lack of automation for manual tasks. Material. The inputs, information, or forms required. Applications received are incomplete. Data from other departments is inaccurate. Unclear customer requirements. People mind power. The human elements, skills, knowledge, and actions. Lack of training on new systems. High staff turnover. Low engagement. Morale. Measurement. The systems and metrics for evaluating the work. Key performance indicators, KPIs, not tracked. Data is subjective or unreliable. Feedback loops are slow or non-existent. Environment. The broader context, culture, structure, physical space. Silos and poor communication between departments. Culture of blame instead of problem solving. Physical layout causes delays in handoffs. Table, common hypothesis tests for institutional root cause analysis. Question you want to answer. Type of data involved. Appropriate statistical test. Is the proportion of errors different between two groups? Discrete, counts, 2 proportion test. Is the average performance, e.g., time, cost, different between two groups? Continuous 2-sample t-test. Is there a relationship between two categories, e.g., error type and shift? Discrete categories, chi-square test. As one factor changes, does another factor change in a predictable way? Continuous correlation/regression analysis. In conclusion, the analyze phase transforms the institution from a state of guessing to a state of knowing. By rigorously applying these tools, teams can confidently identify the few critical root causes that, when addressed, will lead to a dramatic improvement in performance, ensuring that the solutions developed in the next phase are targeted and effective. Chapter 8, Improve Phase, Designing and Implementing Solutions. Chapter Overview. The improve phase is where analysis turns into action. Having identified the root causes in the previous phase, the team now focuses on developing, testing, and selecting the best solutions to eliminate those causes in institutional settings. This requires a blend of creativity to overcome bureaucratic inertia, rigor to validate ideas before full-scale rollout, and careful planning to ensure smooth implementation. This chapter covers the process of generating innovative solutions, using structured experimentation to prove their effectiveness, analyzing their financial impact, and creating a robust plan to roll them out. 1. Creative solution generation. In bureaucratic settings, conventional thinking often leads to conventional results. Breaking free from the way we've always done it is essential for breakthrough improvement, especially in environments resistant to change. Techniques to foster innovation, brainstorming and brainwriting. Classic group ideation techniques, with brainwriting. Silent, written idea generation,